So what jobs need to be done in the vegetable garden in the month of May? Well, arguably May is one of the most active months in the vegetable growers calendar because there is so much going on. We've been through the cooler months of January, February, March and April, and now the temperature's starting to improve, the daylight hours are increasing, and it's a fantastic time for vegetables to grow. So there's lots to be done in the allotment to grow your vegetables, to plant them on, and also to prepare the space ready for them in your vegetable garden outside. And in this video, I'm going to take you on a tour of my allotment and show you some of the jobs I'll be doing in May, just to give you one or two ideas of what you might want to do for yourself. And because of the time of year, we're going to start the tour inside my polyhouse and have a look at what vegetables I've been growing in preparation to plant outside. So my polyhouse, which I built last year, has proved to be a fantastic asset for this year. So there's lots of things that I've decided to grow and start in the polyhouse, and now, as you'll see, there's already plenty of growth in here and things that I have ready to plant out. Already you can see I've got a supply of lettuce, which are just here, and I harvested some of those yesterday. They're a combination of a variety called Lakeland, which are the ones with the slightly curly leaves at the back, and Little Gem, which are the ones at the front. I also have a few spinach plants just in front, and there's more lettuce at the back. And you can see, because of this environment, even with the cooler temperatures we've had, it's still a fantastic environment to grow these types of vegetables. Those curly leaves just behind the lettuce are celery. Now, interestingly, I grew celery outside last year and some inside, and the stuff inside here grew fantastic. Outside it didn't grow so well. And when I was digging the ground outside where these plants were, there was some growth on the celery, so I dug them up and replanted them in here. And as you can see, they're growing fantastic, and they're going to give me a nice early supply of celery. That's a variety called Octavius F1. Underneath here I have my onions, well, some onions. These are a variety called Exhibition, and they're grown from the seed. And then there's some leeks from last autumn there, which I've just been harvesting. Now, when we come on to the seed trays, we can see here I've got some early brassicas, and these are going to be planted outside in May. Now, these have been hardened off over the last few weeks, where I've been putting them outside for an hour or two and then bringing them back in. But now they're ready to be planted outside. So I've got a few varieties of cabbage ready to go out. I have some French beans in cell trays, but May is a good time where you can now start to sow French beans directly outside. And at the back there we have a tray of beetroot. They're a variety called Pablo. Then we have my herbs, they're grown quite nicely. Parsley at the back, coriander, basil, and then dill, which is growing amazingly well. And then I've just got a few of my swede, which are just here. And here are 4 more trays of lettuce. Then I've got some flowers here, which I started growing for the first time. These 4 trays here are all petunias, and they're grown amazingly well. They're a mixed variety. And then I've got 3 trays of Mesothymbrianthium, which are here. And I have some other flowers in trays here ready to prick out. Catenacea, lobelia, a few cosmos there, and some coleus. Some more spring onions, more flowers, Elysium, some cosmos at the back. So here are my tomato plants, and there's 2 varieties there. One is an outdoor variety called Marmonade, and the other one is indoor Moneymaker. I'll give them a couple more weeks growth, and then the Moneymaker I'll put in grow bags inside this polyhouse, and the Marmonade I'll find a space outside for them. Then I've got my peppers. They're growing well. They're Gusto F1, so they need to go into slightly larger pots now. They were started off in a propagator, and the smaller ones, which are a little bit more behind, are Carolina Reaper, but they're all catching up. And just right at the front here we have some cucumbers. This tray nearest to me, which look like they've drooped over, I brought them this morning from my potting shed. They was in my propagator, and as you can see they've gone a little bit leggy, but I'm going to put them into deeper pots and they'll be absolutely fine. So I'm going to have 11 cucumber plants, which is fantastic. So May is a fantastic month for hardening off your plants, transplanting them, and then getting them ready to go outside. Now, all I need to do with these raspberries, I've just got to tie them back. If you can see, they're leaning towards the path. So what I'll do is I'll attach a couple of strings at the lower level, just to keep them nice and tidy. And also you can see they're starting to produce new plants just at the lower levels. The area needs a little bit of a weed, which can be a bit of an awkward job because raspberries are quite prickly, but I need to get in there and get some of them weeds out. Here I have my blueberry bushes, and the first one is starting to flower. I am going to put a net over these. When I start to see the blueberries forming, I'll put a net. Look at this rhubarb, absolutely fabulous. Now, a good thing to do in May is to weed around your rhubarb. I mean, I always love rhubarb, but you can see why I've got so many plants. But always with rhubarb, make sure that they're always well watered right into the roots and well weeded, and they'll be absolutely fine. Now, something else you can do in May, which you can see I've already done, is plant potatoes. Now here I've got 5 rows of a combination of Maris Piper and Desiree, and you can see I've trenched them already. And just here where you can see those grass clippings, that's my little area of trial of no-dig potatoes. They're a variety called Swift and First Earlies. I need to keep piling more grass mulch on there, which I will as I cut my grass. Somebody asked me, why do you trench potatoes? And that's done for a number of reasons. Firstly, it gives the potatoes more depth. So if we do get any late frosts, it will protect them or help give them more protection. And secondly, because potatoes are a root vegetable, they can sometimes grow very close to the surface. And if they're exposed to light, they will go green. Now, something else I need to do in early May at the latest really is tidy up these strawberries. The timber is needed because when I put the netting on top, clearly it just gives it a bit of height so it's not touching the plants. But there's lots of work to do here, and it's quite a job to tidy these. I've got to go and weed in between them all. I've also got to extract the runners from the previous plants, and then I'll replant them into the area which is just half empty over there. I'm just going to empty the rest of them there, because I grow my strawberries on a 3-year rotation. So when they're 3 years old, I dig them up and then put new plants, which I'll get from these runners here, and just transplant them over there, because when they get to 3 years, they start producing really tiny strawberries. So as you can see, these are already starting to flower, and that means that they're getting ready for the fruiting season. So I need to get them covered over and protected as quickly as possible. So there's a fair bit of work to do here on the strawberries over the next couple of weeks. Now, May is a fantastic time for planting out all those vegetables you've been working so hard to grow. Now, these beetroot here were planted out just a week ago in April, but I have got another batch in there which will go in May. You can see I put them in the gaps where some of the shallots that I planted hadn't grown. So it's just making the best maximum use of space. Another job that you'll do in May as well is regularly weed. There's a bit of weeding to do around these onions. These are onion sets, these ones. These are Senshui, which are a white onion. And at the back of there, I've got Red Baron. So you can see a bit of weeding to do, nothing too serious. That won't take me too long. And then here, which I'm really happy with, is my garlic. That's growing fantastic. That's Solent White. And again, that just needs to be weeded in May. Also as well, what I found with garlic, give them a bit of water as well, because May can be a dry month sometimes, and just monitor the weather forecast. And if it is going to be dry periods, just give them a little bit of water. So they'll be ready for harvesting towards the end of June. So if you do dig your garden, I know there's a lot of people who do no dig out there, now's a good time to do it. You can see this was dug about a week ago. This is in preparation now for some of the crops, which I think I've designated this area for things like courgettes and squashes, etc. And where these metal frames are, that's where my beans are going to go. So a bit of work to do. As you can see, just at the bottom of the metal fencing, there are 4 seed plants there, which I germinated using the paper towel method. And there is a video on my channel showing you how I did that, so check that out if you want to see how to germinate your seeds that way. They're just a very early sowing. The main sowing of peas will go in May. I usually start mine in a plastic gutter, grow them inside and then slide them out and plant them in, but there's no reason why you can't plant your seeds in May directly into the ground. Prepare the ground adequately and you can pop your seeds in and then let them grow. You will need to give them protection though, because the young seedlings are very vulnerable to all sorts of pests and wildlife. And just here I have my autumn sowing of broad beans. These are a variety called Valenciana and they're looking great. All I'll do in May is I have to just check that they're supported. But as you can see, they're already starting to flower. I've got 2 sowings of different varieties of onions. And these as well can be transplanted, or should be transplanted outside in May if you haven't already done so. The first variety is a variety called Kelsey, and the ones next to them, just at the side of the leeks, are a variety called Buckinghamshire Champion. So they're looking really good as well. Need a bit of water, but they'll be fine. Another good job to do in May, if you haven't already done so, is to turn your compost. So as you can see, I've got 3 bays, and I turn the compost about twice a year, so that when it gets to the end bay, that's what will be ready to use. And it just makes free compost. It's absolutely brilliant. So check out the videos on how to make compost. So as you can see, May is an exceptionally busy month in the vegetable garden. Lots going on, plenty to do, lots of plants to bring out, lots of ground to prep. But once you've done that and you get towards the end of May into June and things start to slow down just a little bit, then it's a case of caring for your crops. And that's about keeping an eye on pests such as slugs and butterflies, making sure you keep an eye on watering, so when you get dry periods you're regularly watering your crops, and all these things will help to ensure that you get a good crop of vegetables throughout the year. I do hope you found the video useful and it's given you 1 or 2 tips or ideas. Interesting to know what you're doing in May. So if you could just pop a comment below and just let me know what type of vegetables you're growing, maybe any tips you've got for things that you do in May that I haven't mentioned in the video that can be shared with others, that'd be fantastic. I really hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to subscribe to the channel for future videos on how to sow and grow fruit and veg and 1 or 2 recipe ideas, don't forget to press the subscribe button. And I'll see you all on the next video.